Hey, what's going on, guys? Should be starting up right now. Hope you guys all on the good Thursday. Here, obviously, to talk about the showdown slate with the Bucs and the Bears. I actually think this is a pretty interesting slate. We have some value. We have some injuries. We have surprise. Leonard Fournette actually changes things up a little bit. So, I think there is actually a decent edge on this slate, and one that I feel pretty good about. What's going on, guys? We'll talk about the running back situation with Tampa Bay. With Fournette back, that obviously makes both other running backs in Tampa Bay a little bit more risky with Jones and Vaughn. So we'll get to that. First, let's before we talk about the players and the prices, if you guys missed the video, quickly we'll take a look at the Vegas odds. It hasn't really moved a whole lot. I think it was at 44, when I made the video, 44.5, so one up a half a point. Bucs are 4-point favorites. Again, nothing's really changed too much there from when I made the video. I do want to go over these snap counts once again, because I think it is important to look to kind of see what players are getting at least from last week. So last week when Fournette was out, Ronald Jones played a majority of the snaps. He did play 64%. Vaughn played 25%. So those are two guys that looked pretty good in the slate if Fournette was out. But Fournette is in. So what is Fournette's role going to be in this game? That's a big question mark. But we saw, I think, was it week 2 when Fournette was playing? Yeah, he actually took a majority of the snaps, and that was because I think Ronald Jones fumbled that game. So they wrote it out with Fournette. But yeah, what is the snap distribution going to be like? I still think Ronald Jones is going to be the number one back, but how much work he gets is really a question. Now, a good thing for all these Tampa Bay backs is Brady does check down more to these running backs than James Winston does, so that's a positive, right? It kind of boosts the floor a little bit, but it's just a three-headed monster that is kind of tricky to decide. We don't know. Again, I think Jones will still get a majority of the snaps, but how much, we don't know. Wide receiver situations. This is pretty key. So Watson actually led the team in snaps last game. He is out. Also, we have Chris Godwin out once again. Mike Evans was questionable coming in. He tested his ankle. Looks like he's good to go. Now, he has been really, really good so far this season. The 2 games that Godwin has missed. The risk is, sure, right, he's dealing with an injury. We saw it with Julio on Monday. Julio was dealing with a hamstring injury, tried to play through it, re-aggravated his injury. So, yeah, Mike Evans, obviously the upside goes way up without Godwin, but there's also still some risk, right? And Scotty Miller, he should step into the number 2 role. He played in 50% of snaps. I think both him and Evans probably get into the 70s or 80s as far as percent snaps for this game. And then the question mark is who gets the number 3 role. I think it's going to be the rookie Tyler Johnson. Played 33% of the snaps. He is the flat minimum price. He's someone I really like for value. He hasn't got targeted or didn't get targeted last game, but for salary relief, he is probably my favorite cheap play. Mickens will probably get a few snaps too. I think it was also viable, but I feel a little bit more comfortable. Looking like Tyler Johnson is going to be that number 3 receiver for Tampa Bay. So, tight end situation, O.J. Howard is out for the season, so obviously do not play him. Gronkowski, but he's just played the entire game. We haven't really seen a big game from Gronk yet this season. He's someone you still can consider, though, with no Godwin, no Justin Watson. Brait, I think his snaps do go up. He played 21% last game. I think he gets more of the O.J. Howard role. I would say maybe close to 40 or even 50% of the snaps for Cameron Brait. So he's a cheaper guy you can consider a good pass-catching tight end. We've seen it over the years with Cameron Brait. Running back situation, the good thing here with Montgomery is he played basically the entire game. And he ran a ton more routes that last game, too, with no Tariq Cohen. So, sure, hasn't really had a huge receiving game, right? But I think Montgomery feels like a really, really safe option. We'll talk about his price, but I do like him a good amount. He's a workhorse back, and he's running a lot more routes. So, yeah, I do really like David Montgomery on the slate. Wide receiver situation, no surprise here. Allen Robinson's going to play a majority of the snaps. Mooney and Miller, number 2, number 3 receivers. Mooney is a little bit cheaper. I think I slightly prefer him to Miller for the discount, but both are playable if you want a secondary option here on Chicago. Cordarrelle Patterson will get some snaps in the backfield. He kind of is playing the backup running back role. We'll talk about him. I think he's worth a flyer for GPP, so he's at a cheap price point. So Yeah, that's really. I don't think I'd consider Wims or Ginn. I mean, they're dart throws. If you're making multiple lineups, sure. Single entry guys like myself are not really going to look there. Tight end situation, yeah, Jimmy Graham has had a couple good games this year. He's going to play probably 70-ish% of the snaps. Obviously getting up there in age, but still a viable play. Harris coming in at 37%. So that's kind of it for the snaps. I did want to go over that in case you guys missed that in the video. So let's talk. I'll go player by player breakdown. We'll start at the top, go to the bottom. I'll talk about cash plays, GPP plays, captains, and then we'll get to questions at the end. We have about 20 minutes until lock, so we have a good amount of time. I guess real quick though, currently right now over 100 views. If you guys enjoy the content, I really appreciate it if you could hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Would really, really help me out. Yeah, someone asked Vaughn or Johnson. Right now for me, it's Johnson. Now, I still have interest in Vaughn. I still think he does get some work. He's a good pass-catching back. Probably plays more of the third down role for Tampa Bay. So both are cheap options that I do like. I think I would slightly prefer Johnson, but Vaughn is someone that I am considering still for value on this slate. But yeah, back to the top here. So Tom Brady, Nick Foles. I always mention this, but if you're playing cash games, play both quarterbacks. They have the highest floor. For GPPs, do you have to play both? No. I would probably play one, though. Like, this is a game that, could get ugly. Both defenses are pretty solid, but, fading both quarterbacks is obviously a super, super risky build. Again, I don't think you necessarily have to play both, but for safety, for the floor, I would play both, again, if you're playing that cash game setting. So with Brady versus Foles, who do I prefer? No, not a real strong take, right? Foles is a little bit cheaper. Brady's probably a little safer, but he's a little bit more expensive. Again, probably a little bit better matchup for Foles over Brady, but I don't have a strong take. I don't have a strong lean on which quarterback I do prefer. Neither, in my opinion, has huge upside, right? Like, am I going to, for single entry, if you're playing single entry, I probably wouldn't play a quarterback in the captain spot. I really consider those quarterbacks in the captain spots when we have a guy like Lamar or Mahomes, the guys that can get it done on the ground. Not really going to see that much from Brady or Foles. So, yeah, obviously you're making 150 lineups. You can play Brady or Foles in the captain. If you do that, I always say, get some correlation. So if you're going Brady in the captain, I probably would play at least two of his pass-catching receivers. But for single entry, I'm probably not looking to do that. Don't really have a strong lean in which quarterback I prefer. Allen Robinson, let's go actually back to the flex position. He's at 10-6. He's just a really, really safe play, right? Look at the target share, 9, 9, 13, 10, averaging about 10 targets a game. Clearly their number one receiver, and just a guy that I think his floor is super, super high. Did have a 6 fantasy point game week 2 there against the Giants. Not overly concerned about that, though. He has a ton of upside. We've seen actually the last couple games here, 31 and 26 fantasy points. So, yeah, really, really like Allen Robinson. I think he is one of the best spend-ups. I think, he probably has more upside than both quarterbacks, right? So if you're shooting for that upside to win a GPP, it's a running back or wide receiver in the captain spot about 75% of the time. So Allen Robinson as a spend-up, him and Mike Evans are the guys, in my opinion, have the most upside as far as the spend-ups go. So if you're shooting for that upside, it's Robinson or Evans for me. Really do like both receivers a lot here. We'll talk about Mike Evans now, I guess. So no Godwin. The 2 games Godwin has missed, he's at 26 and 28 fantasy points. Mike Evans has. Now, he's been banged up. Hamstring, ankle, does worry me a little bit. Again, mentioned it with Julio. On Monday, Julio played through his hamstring injury and aggravated it. Came out. So, yeah, that does worry me with Mike Evans. But I just think the upside is so high in him that I'm willing to take the risk. I know he's going to be popular too. So, like I said, if you want to play that, if you want to play the fade and maybe hope he gets banged up again, you can go that route. But for me, I'm leaning towards playing both the top receivers in Mike Evans and Allen Robinson. Both should be targeted a bunch, right? 8 and 10 targets in 2 games. Godwin has been out. Obviously, a red zone target too. Mike Evans is. So really, really like both targets here. Both number 1 targets here on Tampa Bay and Chicago. Not a contrarian take at all. Obviously, Evans, Robinson are going to be popular, but feel really, really good about those guys. Let's see. So, yeah, no Godwin. Montgomery at 7-8. As far as if we're talking, I guess, more in the mid-range, he's probably my favorite play in the mid-range. He played basically the entire game. He ran a ton of routes, was targeted 6 times. With no Tariq Cohen, he is a true 3-down back. Now, sure, could that change? Could they incorporate Cordell Patterson more? Sure. But it's really good to see what we saw the last game, right? I was a little bit worried. I thought maybe they'd use Null a bit. Maybe they would utilize Cordell Patterson more as a receiving back. But it was David Montgomery a majority of the game. And they were playing from behind most of that game too. So it wasn't like they were playing from ahead and just running him 3 yards in a cloud of dust every single play. Like they were playing from behind and Montgomery was still playing. So I really like him in the mid-range. We haven't really seen, we saw the 21 fantasy point game from him week 2, but I think the upside's there for him. Now, sure, right, the matchup's not great for him on the ground. Tampa Bay really, really good against the run. Obviously, it is a downside, but the true 3-down workhorse back, getting a ton of targets now with no Tariq Cohen, I think he's a really nice play in the mid-range. Ronald Jones, so this is a big question mark here because with Fournette back, again, what is his workload going to be? Well, Fournette out last game, he had 20 carries, and he had 6 catches and 9 targets. Like I said, Tom Brady really likes targeting the running back, so it makes him a little bit riskier. But I still have Anderson Jones. I think the ownership will go down on him a bit. Again, it's just a big question mark of what is Fournette's role going to be. Again, they have Vaughn too, so I think they will utilize 3 backs. Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because we don't know. We saw it in game 2 that they actually rolled with Fournette more. So if Jones struggles, if he misses a block or fumbles the ball, we've seen it in the past. They will just take him out of the game and not play him basically the rest of the game. So there's always the risk there with Jones. I think he's certainly in play here. He's just a little bit riskier now at that price. Scotty Miller coming in at 7K. I don't think the ownership's going to be super high in him. I still like him. He will be the number 2 receiver. Another guy that was dealing with some injuries, obviously a slight concern. But he's been really, really solid here. So, and again, I don't think he's going to be that high owned. We have Robinson. We have Mike Evans, the quarterbacks. They're going to get a ton of the ownership. I think this mid-range, or at least a guy like Scotty Miller, kind of flies under the radar. So, I like Scotty Miller. He's a fast receiver. Again, Tom Brady really likes this guy. I think he does go low owned, but someone I do like in the mid-range. Jimmy Graham, I'm not as excited about at 6'8", getting up there in age. Now, the positives are 7, 10, and 5 targets in 3 of the first 4 games. So they're targeting him a ton. Red zone target they can look to. He's still a good pass-catching tight end. It's just 6.8 does kind of feel like a lot to me. Like if I was going to place a receiver, I guess, in this mid-range, I think I would lean towards to go into Scotty Miller over Graham. But don't rule out Graham. Again, he's probably going to be lower owned. But definitely viable. Anthony Miller, kind of the same thing, right? 6'4" is a fair price. I don't think he's underpriced. I don't think he's overpriced. He's a fine play. Him and Mooney are kind of fighting for that number 2 role. Both should get a good amount of work. That's really it. Like if you land on him, that's fine. I'm not going to really go out of my way to play him, but I think he's a perfectly fine option in the mid-range. Again, Fournette was listed as doubtful. Now he's active. What is his role going to be? We don't know. Is he even going to play for sure? I don't there's no guarantee he's even going to play. So if you want to take that stand and play Ronald Jones and hope they're just have him Fournette active and then just don't use him, you can do that, right? Because Fournette if Fournette doesn't play, like Ronald Jones will get a majority of the work. And then he would become probably one of the best plays in the mid-range. Like I had Ronald Jones in my lineup before this news. I don't right now. Just because of the uncertainty, but I'm a little bit scared because Ronald Jones is a guy that has a lot of upside in my opinion. Again, just the workload is the question for this Tampa Bay running back situation. Fournette himself, I'm probably not going to get to at 6'2". I think that's a little bit too pricey. Not a great pass-catching back. Like he's a guy that can catch some passes, but we're not getting him at an amazing discount coming off the injury. For single entry, at least I'm not going to go there. Gronkowski, 5'8". I'm not overly excited about it. 3-1-7-3 targets the first 4 weeks. Not getting a ton of targets. Obviously, O.J. Howard out. Maybe it's a slight boost, but they still have Cameron Brate. So kind of like Jimmy Graham. I'm fine with it. I think he does go a little bit lower owned. I'm not really going to go out of my way to play Gronk. The defenses, Bucs and Bears. Again, this game is, I guess, on the lower. It's kind of in the mid, right? 44.5. Not super low, not super high. They're playable. 5-4 though is not cheap for defense, and neither is 4-4. So single entry, I'm probably not going to get to. If you're making a ton of lineups, sure, you can consider the defenses, right? All you really need is a pick 6 or fumble recovery 6, something like that. So yeah, playable. Single entry, I'm probably not going to go to the defense. So Mooney at 4-6. He's been looking pretty solid. He had 9 targets last game, 5 targets the game before. I do prefer him to Anthony Miller for the discount. But yeah, both guys should get a good amount of work. Right, we saw it last game. They were really, really close. Mooney 74%, Miller 69% of the snaps. So both guys are definitely viable. I do prefer Mooney for his price. Kickers are always in play. Again, no real strong take here. 5-point floor, about 15 fantasy point upside. 4-2 and 4K are very fair prices. So yeah, if you want to go to a kicker, that's fine. Don't think I would play both, but you can definitely get to one. Brate's intriguing here, 3-8, no OJ Howard. I think he does probably push maybe 40-50% of the snaps. He's a good pass-catching tight end, so he's someone you can consider, right? Tampa Bay does like running 2 tight ends. I'm fine with him as a value option. He obviously is a little bit riskier of an option. Again, Watson out. Cordell Patterson at 2-2 does intrigue me here. Didn't get a ton of work, but he is a guy that will get probably some carries and is a good pass-catching, running back, wide receiver. He's a wide receiver, but they will line him up at the running back when Montgomery's not out there. Didn't really have a great game last game, but he's someone that is playable, right? I think, snaps could go up on him. Maybe they go down a bit on Montgomery. Maybe they go up a bit on Patterson. So 2.2K is definitely something you can consider here for a cheap option. Vaughn is still playable. Again, I got asked about that. He's a good pass-catching running back. Again, the question is just what the workload is going to be for him. We don't know. Fournette there too. They have 3 running backs. I still think he's playable. And again, the positives are Tom Brady does like checking down to his running backs. So that's a positive. I probably feel the best for his price. I think he looks the best just because I still think he has a role in this offense. I would say probably 25-ish% of the snaps. Again, I think he'll be utilized more of the third down back. We never know, but that's my best guess here. So, yeah, for 1K, I think he's certainly in play. All he really needs is one or two catches, and he's there for value. Again, Ginn, I'm not really going to get to. Harris is just contrarian play. Guy I do want to mention here, Tyler Johnson. I think he's the best value play of the day. Looks like he's going to be the number 3 receiver. Mike Evans and Scotty Miller both banged up in front of him. So I like him. $200. I think he gets a decent amount of work. I would say probably 50-ish% of snaps, and he's the flat min price. So I do really like Tyler Johnson. I think he'll be somewhat popular. I think that more of the sharks didn't get to him. Maybe the casuals aren't going to really get to Tyler Johnson. So yeah, I do like him. Mickens, I think, is going to be the fourth receiver, but someone you can still look to. Johnson's going to be a lot more popular if you want to get different and take a shot at Mickens instead. Fine, but I think Tyler Johnson does get more work. And I think that's really it for the player-by-player breakdown. So let's talk about captains and who I'm considering. For upside, for me, it's Allen Robinson, it's Mike Evans, and it's David Montgomery for me at the top. I like the upside in all 3 a good amount. If you're looking in the mid-range, again, don't mind a guy like Scotty Miller, I think flies under the radar. And then, cheaper options, I think getting to a guy like a Tyler Johnson makes some sense, right? My build right now, I have Tyler Johnson the captain. Sure, it's risky, right? He hasn't had a target yet, but all signs are him pointing to be the number 3 receiver. I think he gets a decent amount of work, flat min price. You have basically 10K remaining. Yeah, I can plug in whoever else I want into this lineup. So that's a route you can take. Or again, if you're shooting for the ups, or if you're shooting for huge upside, Robinson, Mike Evans, even Montgomery, I think as a 3 down back does have a good amount of upside. So you could go that route too. Go Allen Robinson, say, and play both quarterbacks. Then you have 4.3K remaining, so it's a little bit more difficult. So again, mess around with roster construction, see what works, but that's kind of what I'm thinking for my build and where I'm going. So let's get to some questions now. We have about 10 minutes until lock. Again, guys, hit that like button if you enjoy the content. It does really, really help me out. Rojo now, let's see. Dave Montgomery or Rojo. For not only to be used as emergency running back confirmed on Twitter. Oh, I did not see that. Good call, or good. Thank you for putting that in the chat. So let's see. Emergency only running back tonight. All right, so that is a huge boost to Ronald Jones now. Huge boost, right? I think Ronald Jones now Rojo versus Montgomery is basically a toss-up. It really is. I like both running backs a lot. For cash games, you probably play both quarterbacks and both running backs now. Yeah, I like the upside a lot more on Ronald Jones now at 7-4, now that Fournette's out. Also, Vaughn. I think Vaughn gets a pretty big boost here at 1K. I think he gets a decent amount of more work with no Fournette. So, yeah, it's a huge boost for both Tampa Bay running backs. I like Vaughn. I like Ronald Jones a good amount. Lock in Rojo. I don't think you necessarily have to lock him in, but I do really like him here. Pick your top two. Let's see. Anthony Miller, Scotty Miller, Mooney, and Johnson. Well, they're different prices, right? So it kind of depends. Scotty Miller is the guy I think has the most upside in that group. But yeah, if we're not talking about prices, then give me Scotty Miller and Mooney. Do you like Captain, Robinson, Flex, Brady, Foles, Scotty Miller, Mooney, and Tyler Johnson? Yeah. Fading Foles. I'm playing both quarterbacks just because I'm going Tyler Johnson, the captain, to get a little bit risky. But now I like Vaughn more and I like Rojo more. So I'm debating now to try to get Ronald Jones in my captain. Lock in Yeah, let's see. Should I start Evans in tournament? Well, there's always risk. But I do like Mike Evans' upside a good amount with no Godwin. He's seen it the 2 games he's been out. I got Captain Mike Evans, Brady, Tyler Johnson, Rojo, Mooney, Robinson. Thoughts? I think it looks good. DK, you playing Evans, injury and defense worries me. I am playing Mike Evans. That obviously worries me too, right? Chicago, good defensively. Evans banged up, but I'm willing to take the risk because the upside of Mike Evans is really high. Getting Evans in or no? Yeah, I'm playing him. Tyler Johnson or Vaughn? Now that's a good question. Like Tyler Johnson probably gets more snaps, but Vaughn's probably more productive with his snaps just because he's a good pass-catching running back. So that's a tricky one now. That's almost a toss-up for me. I do like both value a lot. You think it will be a low-scoring game? It's a 44.5 over-under, and both defenses are pretty solid. I think it will be a lower-scoring game, but not like super, super ugly. My lineup, Captain Robinson, Brady, Tyler Johnson, Ronald Jones, Montgomery, and Scotty Miller. I like that a good amount. Robinson is bait. Are you talking about Allen Robinson? Yeah, this is... Man. I don't know what to do now. I do like Ronald Jones a lot now with no Leonard Fournette. How good is Kyler Fuller? Is he a shutdown quarterback? He's a solid quarterback, but I wouldn't be scared. I wouldn't fade a player for him. I didn't care what I think about Noah J. Howard. That Gronk catches his first touchdown tonight. Again, Gronk, fine. Jimmy Graham, fine. Both tight ends I'm not overly excited about in this game. Fuller loves going deep. Let's see. Captain Scotty Miller, Brady, Allen Robinson, Foles, Ronald Jones, Tyler Johnson opinion. I like that. I think I'm going to go with Tyler Johnson. I think I'm going heavy hitters with Tyler Johnson, captain. Yeah, that's the build I have right now, Tyler Johnson, captain. But I don't know, right? There's Vaughn I really like for value now, too. I think the 2 top value plays are Tyler Johnson and Vaughn. The targets really interest me with Rojo, exactly. Like he got targeted a ton, too. Brady really likes targeting his running backs. I really like Jones and Vaughn now. I don't know. I'm messing around with roster construction right now. We have about 5 minutes to lock. So yeah, keep the questions coming, guys. If you have any other ones. Graham or Miller? Yeah, for me it's going to be Scotty Miller. I like the upside more on him. Who said Fournette is out? It said it's active. Yeah, so he's going to be used as emergency situation only. That was on Twitter. So he's technically active, but you're going to need like injuries to both running backs. Sorry, I'm late, DK. Who are you running at captain? Well, originally I had Tyler Johnson. I'm still messing around with roster construction. If you play Tyler Johnson at captain, should be the number 3 receiver for Tampa Bay. Then you can basically plug whoever else you want in. But now we got the Fournette news. I really like Ronald Jones and Vaughn, the other 2 running backs for Tampa Bay. So I'm kind of messing with builds right now. Yo, DK, what's up, guys? So now is Evans or Rojo better captain? Play no clue what to do now. Yeah, I think so. For safety, it's Ronald Jones for me now because I feel pretty good about him. Obviously, the risk with Mike Evans is just the injury and the matchup. I feel a little bit safer about Ronald Jones, but I like the upside a lot on both. Mooney in the captain now, I'm fine with it. Again, Mooney's Mooney versus Anthony Miller. I prefer Mooney slightly for his price. Gronk tonight or Ertz Sunday? Ertz. Scotty, Captain, Brady, Foles, Rojo, Johnson, Robinson. Good at that. What do you think about my lineup, DK? Yeah, I like it. Do you like Captain Jones, Flex, Captain Ronald Jones, Flex, Brady, Robinson, Foles, Mooney, and Vaughn? Yeah, that's completely good with me. Tyler Johnson or Vaughn? Yeah, those are the two top value plays in my opinion. That's something that I don't really have a strong lean on either way. I think Johnson probably gets 50-ish% of snaps. Vaughn, 30-ish%, maybe a little bit more, but he's probably a little bit more productive with the snaps since he's running back and a good pass-catching running back. It's a tricky one, right? I really like Johnson and Vaughn for value. So, yeah, again, for safety, I think you probably now play Ronald Jones and Montgomery. Both should be, should get a majority of the work for both teams. Captain Rojo, Brady, Evans, Mooney, Vaughn, and Robinson. Thoughts? Completely good with that. Yeah, I don't think Tyler Johnson's a must-play for value because we have Vaughn now, too. So you're going to have to make a tough call with the value, whether it be Vaughn or Johnson. You can consider Cordarrelle Patterson, too, right? He would be the contrarian play, not getting a ton of snaps, but should be used as the number 2 back for Chicago. Maybe it's a little bit more work here. Like Rojo, no Fournette. I do really like Ronald Jones now with no Fournette. I was really high on him going in. Fournette news kind of lowered it, but now with Fournette being used in emergency situation only, I do really like Ronald Jones. Good info and content. Keep this shit up. Hey, appreciate that, man. Thank you. Fade Evans. Don't think you necessarily have to play him. The risk, tougher matchup, dealing with injuries. So I don't think he's a must, but the upside is there. We've seen it in both games that Godwin's been out. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm messing around with roster construction myself. I just put Ronald Jones in. I have both him and Montgomery in. I don't think you necessarily have to play both quarterbacks on the slate. Again, because both wide receivers have huge upside in Robinson and Evans. Both running backs now look pretty good, in my opinion, Montgomery and Jones. Get your line set, DK. Yeah, I think I'm good now. I'm going to Montgomery in the captain just to get a little bit different. I don't think he's going to be super popular. We haven't really seen a huge game from him yet, but I'm just going with him to get a little bit different, I guess. As I said, it's salary in the stream earlier. Fournette is a healthy scratch when this happens. My Bears going to win this. Good luck, all. It's hard to fade Evans without Godwin, even with a little... Yeah, right. So there's still the risk, but the upside is really, really high in Mike Evans. How does this look, DK? Captain Robinson. Okay, utility, Ronald Jones, Montgomery, Johnson, Miller, Brady. I like that a lot. I do. Graham or Miller? It's going to be Scotty Miller for me. I like the targets will be there for Dave Montgomery, too. Yeah, he ran a ton of routes last game. David Montgomery did. And he got targeted 6 times. With no Tariq Cohen, he was treated as a workhorse back. Sure, could things change? Yes. But they were down most of that game against the Colts, and Montgomery was playing. So it's really good to see that. Mooney over Graham, I'd have 2,900 left. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I am. Leave some salary on the table if you want to get different. If you're playing that, $400K to first tourney, and you try to get first solo, you can definitely leave salary on the table. Like, I've left 5, 6K on the table before if I feel pretty good about a value. Good luck, everyone. Fade Evans. Yeah, again, I don't think Evans is a must play. The risk is there. The upside is there. All right, we are at lock, so let me go over some ownership, and then we can get out here. I can show you guys my lineup. Again, I kind of changed it with Fournette news. I really do appreciate you guys coming to check out the live stream, too. Seriously. Got close to about 150 viewers. So really, really do appreciate you guys coming to take time out of your day to check out the live stream and support it. Let's see. Once it loads up, ownership always does take a little bit, probably a minute or two. I'm excited, though. I think this game will be a good game. I think 2 pretty evenly matched teams. Like, neither offense is super explosive. Both defenses are solid. I think it'll be a good game. Yeah, we'll give it another minute or two with that ownership. We'll go over ownership, and then I can get out of here. So if you guys want to stick around, we can go over ownership, kind of what I'm thinking. A's lost today. Are they out? I honestly, I haven't followed baseball at all this year. Okay. Ownership is now up. I guess we can go over it in the $10 tournament. Okay, so I'll go over my lineup here. Let's see. Here we go. So I didn't play crazy. I never really play a huge amount on these showdown states with super high variance, but played this in the $33 tournament. So I went David Montgomery in the captain, only 6% in the captain spot. Again, just to get a little bit different. Allen Robinson and Mike Evans. Ronald Jones plug in there, and then Tyler Johnson for value. Johnson only being 13% owned. I like that ownership on him. Ronald Jones, 64%, Mike Evans, 51%, Foles, 45%, A-Rob, 66%, Montgomery, 41%. So, yes, I faded Brady here just because I really like the upside on both the number one receivers being Robinson and Mike Evans, and both running backs. And I couldn't find a way to get all five of them in there, so that's the build I want. I can go over some other ownership here. Let's see, Cam Brate, 14%. Mooney, 22%. I'm just scrolling through other people's lineups now. Bears D, 8%. Santos, 8%. Graham, 20%. Tom Brady, 78%. So I guess that's kind of where I live and die. If Brady just has a mediocre game, then I'm in pretty good shape because I did go with the Brady fade. Gronkowski, 24%. So I'm not super surprised with the ownership rate. With a lot of it going to Robinson, Mike Evans, and both running backs and the quarterbacks. Not super surprised about it. Buccaneers defense, a little bit higher on 22% for the Bucs defense. This guy played both defenses. He's obviously hoping for a slower or an uglier game. Scotty Miller, 35%. Yeah, that's really it. Not overly surprised with this ownership. I'm curious. I haven't seen Vaughn. Mickens came into 1% owned. Cordell Patterson, 7%. So those are some lower owned guys. That guy left a ton of money on the table. You just looked at that lineup. Some people are playing the defenses in the captain. I'm seeing a lot of defenses. There's just like a glitch. Am I seeing all these defenses in the captain spot? I don't know what's going on here, but it feels like it is. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks again, guys, for checking the live stream. Really do appreciate it. Good luck. Hope you guys win.